I just saw a curious article in newspapers today about the immigration service. It's actually a threat. Of course, anonymous sources, threat that they might even go on demonstration for 3 reasons. One, that their leadership, the top 3 leadership, have all expired, as it were. They're supposed to be on retirement and they are still clinging to their positions. And according to the story, it was for that reason that they have consented to failing the last intake, the very latest intake, with protocol signings. In other words, people have had exams, people have written exams and passed, but were not called. Many of the people on the intake were simply brought in by government officials through the 3 officers who are supposed to have retired, including, that's an interesting bit of the story, 2 visibly pregnant ladies, when the regulations specify that pregnant people are not supposed to be on the intake. It's very interesting. Let's watch out what happens in the immigration service. Having said that, tonight we are most interested in biometric registration. Certainly since 24th March. It has touched you one way or the other. Either you've managed to go to a center or you hear it's happening and you are wondering what is going to happen to you personally because it appears to be way out of your way. What exactly is happening? We've been reading and listening to stories about technical difficulties, human error, human misunderstanding, but probably the most difficult parts, the human understanding issues. And tonight, Minority Caucus will try and see if we can help unravel the issues around the ongoing registration exercise. I have the distinguished pleasure and privilege, he's a very busy man, of having with me in the studio Honorable Obi Amwa, who is the MP for Brinsum constituency and a key member of the MPP elections committee. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. YB. It's been a long time.
You're my senior, so
you always want everybody to know.
Senior, you're very welcome once again.
Thank you.
But then, general overview. I mean, the MPP perspective. Are we happy? Of course, there's many days to go yet. This is just the 3rd day.
Well, thank you and good evening. I will not say that from the calls and the statements we've had, generally, you will say that the MPP is happy. We are not happy for several reasons. Because you go to the center, you want to register, and you encounter so many problems. Then you want to know whether indeed the EC has been prepared. EC is well prepared for this encounter. Excuses upon excuses, and then you wonder what's going on. Because if somebody gets to the registration center, and by 1 p.m., as I've experienced, by 1 p.m. only 7 people have been registered.
1 p.m.?
1 p.m. And then the machine is taken away because they say that it's 40. It becomes problematic. Or there's a center where a lot of people are queuing, there are problems. You ask for a challenge form, in the whole center, there's only 1 challenge form. Obviously, people will complain. Or take a situation where there's a movement plan indicating where registration will take place. And then where the plan indicates that for a particular polling station, registration will commence on 23rd April. Then you go on 24th March, the center is registering. And for 2 days, you don't hear anything from the EC why, if even change their movement plan. Obviously, people will complain. And then the situation where there's a printout, as required by the regulation. And then because there's the manual checking by the party agents, as we've trained them to do, 35 names are missing.
Out of the printout? Out
of the printout.
35 registered names?
35 registered names don't appear. And you have to protest, you have to raise objection, you verify your manual list, and then the following morning, 35 names are added. Obviously, I mean, people will need information and education on it. Otherwise, they will start complaining and start panicking. And then the typical one, even the serial numbers. Somebody registers is number 4, another person registers just after him is number 16. Obviously, they will complain, what's happening? Between 4 and 16, why the gap? because that is not how they've been trained. They've been trained that they should observe and make sure that the numbers follow serially.
Yes.
And then he goes there as a party agent, and let me check your number, or he gets to know the number 4, the next number is 16.
Yes.
Obviously, he gets worried because he said, are they trying to fill the gap in a certain way?
And later, particularly if you get a printout where there are gaps.
And especially where even at IPAC, the EC never mentioned it, that our numbering would be odd because of so and so. Or just to even inform us, the numbering would be odd for our own reasons, for our own security, etc. Nobody tells anybody anything at IPAC. Then on registration day, you find these things. People will not be happy and people will be worried. So by and large, these are the complaints coming. These are what people are apprehensive about. And then we need to address them. Otherwise, it creates a lot of problem.
The public education, even the whole notion of clusters and the movement plan, extremely confusing.
And very problematic, in the sense that we have had cause to complain that the education has not gone down well with the people. It's been, the period for education has been short. The whole mechanism, if you see an advert, just a 30-second advert, not explaining very much what should be done, and then getting even to know very late that there's supposed to be a movement plan. Because don't forget that initially, the EC wanted to do it region by region.
Yes.
Then issues were raised that, are you sure that this would be the best method? One, why would, I mean, if you decide to register Eastern region first, or if you put 2 regions together, Eastern, Greater Accra, what would be the criteria for even choosing
those regions first?
And what are the implications? Knowing very well that even some regions compete. Why Ashanti first, not Volta first, etc., etc. So EC abandoned it. More so when even the suppliers of the equipment were very uncomfortable in the sense that moving the equipment from one whole region to another region, they felt that they will have problems. So eventually EC decided on clusters. But even the information on the clusters, the education, has been problematic. The last moment, we saw notices around. In my constituency, I saw notices just written in felt pen on walls. And I've had cause to complain that obviously, if you raise, these notices will go off.
Yeah.
Or people can even peel them off.
Yes.
And then you just walk around, you see movement plan, then the date, and then the polling stations where the registration will take place. So it's not been the best, and that is why people are a bit apprehensive, and everybody is complaining. Some places for 3 days, you may say that they've had registration for only about 5 hours. I mean, first day, a few hours, they said equipment has broken down. So now, no replacement, no repairs. Obviously, they'll be worried. So we have to take all these things into consideration and say that if you say you are doing a 10-day exercise at a particular polling station, now at the end of the day, you've done only 7 days, then you should make sure you add 3 days.
Yes. So it means that it's likely that the first group of, would I call them guinea pigs?
They become guinea pigs more or less.
Would deserve.
Yeah. Where you say you even bring two machines, and you end up bringing only one, because it's a large population, and you bring only one, they have to complain. And it's happening, especially where there are schools.
Yeah.
If you pick my constituency, where there are schools, the arrangement was that, okay, the students will have one queue, and then the community will have another queue. But you go there, there's only one machine.
So they are all queuing together, and there are hundreds of them.
They spent, yesterday, one school, they spent the whole day at the registration center. You get there very early. By 5:30, they were still at the center. And I was scandalized. So these are genuine problems. It's not that anybody is trying to bastardize the whole exercise. No. These are genuine problems that we should address. Don't forget that even the regulations governing the registration, they came only 2 days before the exercise, because it got matured in Parliament on Thursday when we were rising. And by Saturday, the exercise had begun.
Thursday, 22nd.
Yes. So how many people even had access to the regulations to know exactly what is in it? Don't forgetting that the EC started its own education, etc. But the rules governing the whole registration exercise, the rules came into effect on Thursday evening. So you had only Friday to get to know the rules, and then Saturday you start the process. Even though we had trained our party agents, we had to let them know that this is what is in Parliament. And on 21 days maturity, after that, it becomes part of regulation. And it's different from CI-12. A lot of provisions have been introduced into the CI-72. So you cannot say that you are using the CI-12 to even train your agents and educate the public for the whole exercise.
CI-12 is the one which governed the manual.
Yes, that's the CI-12 in 1995, the one which was passed in 1995 to govern the registration. And then we've changed it because of biometric to CI-72, which came into effect only on 22nd March.
Amazing. Is there a sense that the EC capitulated on the public education and assumed that the parties would do it themselves?
Well, I'm sure they were aware that they had challenges as far as education was concerned. At the last IPAC meeting, just before the exercise, we raised the issue. Are you sure you are ready for the exercise to take off? The education is a problem. Even knowing the CI is a problem. Your pilot process, the challenges which came out, have they been addressed? They said, oh, yeah, okay, we should take off. Knowing, of course, that the first 10 days will be used as
guinea
pig and then so in the pilot mode.
Those constituencies in there. But then I think we should use this opportunity tonight to explain to our viewers what the clusters mean and the movement plan, and the fact that every single constituency, every single polling station is supposed to have 10 days with the equipment, barring what will happen with these guinea pig polling stations which started. Yes. So maybe you should explain that thoroughly, the clusters, the movement plan, and then the idea that every polling station is going to get equipment there. So do not run after the equipment to try and register.
Well, the challenge is the kind of information that prospective registrants, if I may say so, have. For instance, if I stay at Dome and nobody gets to me, how do I know when I'm supposed to go and register? Is the movement plan available to everybody? Or is it available to only parliamentary candidates and party agents? That's number one. Two, the notices that we've put around, are they enough? Are they available? They've tried to do some publications in the newspapers. How effective are they? What the EC has decided is that 40 days registration exercise. Then they break the constituency into 4. First 10 days, they list the polling stations which will go for the registration.
Within the constituency?
Within the constituency. But they pick from various electoral areas and then put them together and say that first 10 days, these are the polling stations who have their registration. The next 10 days, this is a group. The next 10 days, this is a group. And the last 10 days, this is a group that will have the registration. So if you pick, for instance, a Kuapim South, or you take the whole Ebri in some constituency, because the Kuapim, the Ebri in some constituency has been divided into 2 districts now. So we have Kuapim South, and then in some Adwejiri. The Ebri area is now the Kuapim South. And then in Samam Adwejiri, that is the original Kuapim South municipality. Now, they've listed 19 polling stations for Kuapim South, that is the mountain, the Brekusu area.
Of particular interest, just when we broke off, was the whole notion of clustering polling stations and then the movement plan between different polling stations within a constituency over a 40-day period. That is a very difficult concept to understand, and I think Obiama was leading us through it.
Well, for instance, as I said, if you take Kuapim South, let's say 24th March, that is last Saturday, up to 2nd April.
For 10 days.
For 10 days, up to 2nd for 10 days. What the EC has done is to pick polling stations from electoral areas and put them together and say that these polling stations, for the first 10 days, you are the ones going to register.
So they dissect it into 4?
Yes.
And pick from each of the 4?
Yes.
So the cluster of 4 has polling stations picked in there?
For the 10, no, what they do is that for the 10 days, they've put together polling stations coming out of various electoral areas. Don't forget that under electoral area are polling stations.
Yes.
So if they say that a Brew West electoral area, if a Brew West electoral area has, let's say, 3 or 4 polling stations, then they pick one polling station for a Brew West and say that you will be part of those who register for the first 10 days.
Okay.
Go to another electoral area, pick one from there. Go to another area, pick one from there. And then put all together and say that for the first 10 days, these polling stations from the individual electoral areas, you come together, you are the ones who register for the first 10 days.
Okay.
So the average person should know whether his polling station is among or not in the first 10 days. So if you check the movement plan and you are not there, then you look for the date. Am I in the next 10? Or the last 10? Or the third one? And you have to keep track and say that from information I've gathered, either from the newspaper publication, from my parliamentary candidate, from the EC, I know that for the last 10 days, let's say Comet Estates. Comet Estates is at Brekuso,
yes,
which is part of my constituency. Comet Estates is part of the last 10 days.
That's right.
So once they know that the equipment will come there last 10 days.
So they are not worried,
40-day exercise.
even as...
So when it starts now, once they know that they are last 10 days, they are not part of it. And they don't get worried that the machine has not come there or EC staff have not come there. That is the process. But getting to know is a problem. Number 2, sometimes you find 2 polling stations very close, but one is in the first 10 days, the other is not in the first 10 days. So the person then decides that, if my polling station is so close and we are not registering, why don't I take advantage and join these people and also register? Because probably even the period that they've given me, I'll be out of town or I'll not have the time to register. This is opportunity, let me go on. So it gets crowded. And you have typical examples all over the place. Where I registered, just close by is another polling station, but they will not have theirs until maybe the last 10 days.
So the temptation to cross over
is
very high.
Yes, and indeed I could have registered in any of the polling stations because they are all close to my residence. So I could have decided that instead of Adontin, where I've registered, I could have gone to Anglican. But Anglican is not registering now. So somebody who wants to register at Anglican will be tempted to say, why don't I go and register at Adontin? Because it's the first 10 days.
So to keep nerves relaxed and calm, it is extremely important that the movement plan
is explained and then information is provided to the average person who is going to register. Otherwise, there's this kind of confusion. Hey, why are others registering and I'm not registering? Would it get to us the way the machines are breaking down? By the time it gets to us, probably there will be no machine to register us. Yes. And it's worrying and it's genuine. Yes. Because where they've started, I should have said, first day, they couldn't cover all the hours. Second day, third day, they are still having problems with their machine. And they're complaining. Yes. So that is the problem we're having throughout the country. It's not only peculiar to my constituency.
That's right.
It's throughout the country. And the problems appear to be the same all over the place. One other aspect is the training. The EC staff, how long were they trained? For how long were they trained? And how well have they been trained?
People are getting cards, yes, female when it's a male. Pictures.
Which is obvious mistake. Or you start your process at 7:30. By 9:30, you've not been able to produce even one card. My presence, I saw it. And then they were blaming the printer. The printer is not working. Somebody comes, just gives command, the printer is working.
So it means they don't really know what to do, yes, with the printer.
So the EC should take all these concerns on board and quickly rectify them as quickly as possible so that the rest of the days, the registration will go. Otherwise, it will eat into 60 days instead of 40 days. And as it happens that way, it gets closer to elections. Yes. Because we have to do provisional register, go on exhibition, for everybody to go and check whether his name and particulars are what they claim they have provided. Yes. And then also raise objection where somebody's name has been included when his name should not be included. That's somebody right. Can get there and say that by the provisional register, this person is deceased. If you go and find an estamwa with all the particulars showing that it's my my dad, who is deceased, the person can raise objection and say that Ernest Tamwa is no more. By the particulars, his name should not appear on the register.
So it is vital that a provisional register comes up
so that
before a final register.
And by November, if you're doing elections in December, when you are filing nomination in November, all those who endorse your nomination should be registered voters. And their name should be on the register, certified register. So we don't have time at all. So if we don't do the registration when it stretches, then the time will be compressing towards the elections itself. And that's where we panic and all these problems come in. So we told this, if you had our own win, this process should have started last year.
Yeah.
But you know all the issues, the procurement issues, the court issues, etc. The CI then came to Parliament very late.
What is the state of the CI? How novel is it? How useful is it in terms of guiding this exercise?
Well,
any particular provisions?
I mean, that's the, as the CI says, Public Elections Registration of Voters Regulations 2012. So these are the regulations that we are using for the 2012 exercise. And as I said, some provisions have been introduced. For instance, if you're going to register, you are applying to register. Apart from the fact that you should be qualified, that is 18, of sound mind, citizen, resident in the area. Now they are even talking about those confined, like prisoners. Prisoners, by the Supreme Court decision in March 2010. Yes. Prisoners are allowed to register and vote.
That's right.
So that's a new thing that has been introduced. Now, when you apply to go and register, you should show identification.
We are now having many problems with identification.
Many problems with identification. And they've specified which type of identification you can show. Your passport, driver's license, national ID card, national health insurance, voter ID card. And if you don't have any of these, you should have 2 persons who will guarantee for you, except that such persons cannot guarantee for more than 5 people.
I have personally had reports covering those 3 things. One, I've had reports which say that in certain areas, EC officials are saying that the only card they will accept is the former voter's ID card because they don't want any doubts. So that one shows that you are already a voter. The second one is the validity of the National Health Insurance card to demonstrate that you truly are a citizen of Ghana or otherwise. And in particular, because of the crash special exercise to issue those cards out, which seems disproportionately weighted in favor of a particular region. And then only yesterday, I had very worrying calls about a personality within a particular constituency who was moving from polling station to polling station, guaranteeing for people by herself, basically simply calling people up. Very nice, calm, old lady, dignified, and encouraging people to be, registered without the appropriate information.
Yes, as I said, it's precisely because the CI came very late. Because if you know the regulations, then you know what is in there. Nobody can go around saying that I'm a guarantor, a contractor per se, going around guaranteeing for everybody.
Which is what was happening.
Beyond 5, you cannot guarantee more than 5. So if you in your household, you have persons who don't have any form of identification, and you go endorsing and guaranteeing, you can do for only 5. And that is the end of it.
And even there, you have to be 2 people.
Even there, 2 people should guarantee for the person who doesn't have any identification. That is what the regulation is saying. So nobody can just go around guaranteeing everybody. Now, if you come to, today, when I registered, I intentionally used my driver's license. And they went through it, was accepted. Even because on the biometric license, you have nationality on it, showing that this is a Ghanaian holding this card.
The new biometric license. The laminated card.
No, it's not laminated, it's a plastic.
Yeah.
It's a plastic
that
card.
Plastic, yes.
And nationality is stated there. Your date of birth is stated there, your name, date of birth, nationality, etc. Detailed. So I showed them the card. Within minutes, they had filled my form. And then you do the thumbprint, then you move on to the next step, then you take your picture and your fingerprints. So nobody can say that the only identification they would accept is voter ID.
The old voter ID.
The old voter ID. Not so. I mean, that one is not even foolproof. But beyond all this, if you doubt anybody's identification, you can challenge. You may even be holding a passport, government of Ghana passport. If the person is in doubt, he can challenge it by filling the challenge form and say that this is not a person who claims his Kofi Mensah or whatever.
There's a sense that those challenge forms really will get you nowhere because the person's information will be on the register anyway, and then the processes.
Yeah, we've gone through that before. This is not the first time that we are challenging and even going for a review. What happens is that once you fill the form to challenge, they should not give the person the ID, the voter ID.
Okay.
It should be kept, and then you go to the review committee where reps of political parties are present, the director of education, the police commander, traditional rep of a traditional council or authority, and then they go through the process. It's more or less like a court.
Okay.
Witnesses, documents, evidence, prove that you indeed the person who you say you are, or you the person challenging. On what grounds are you challenging that this person is not YB? If he's able to prove it, you will not get your voter ID.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have a right to challenge people you believe are not eligible to go on the register, even if they are holding a valid ID or an ID which is allowed under the CI 72. So on that note, we want to be very careful about challenges which are not based on facts but are simply based on face value, as it were. You see somebody and you insist that I will not allow you to vote. As happened.
It's an offense.
Yes, it's happened in another constituency where I got calls from, in Accra, where people are simply turning people away from the queue, forcefully turning them away from the queue and not allowing them to register. We'll take our second break. When we come back, we'll delve deeper into these matters.
On PM Express, more issues, more analysis, more expert views, more expose. Remember, it's at 9 p.m. every weeknight, exclusively on the Joy News channel.
Champions Tuesday returns on March 27th on Joy Sports and Adum TV. Portuguese giants and two-time winners Benfica take on a rejuvenated Chelsea in a first-leg quarter-final clash of the UEFA Champions League at the Estadio da Luz. Ghanaian interest would surely be on the high with midfield general Michael Essien in the fold of the Blues. Benfica versus Chelsea, live at 6:45 p.m. Tuesday, March 27th from the Estadio da Luz, only on Joy Sports and Adum TV. Pre-match discussions begin at 6:15 p.m. Be onside, get a multi-TV digibox and enjoy this game and more. Multi-TV, just thrills.
Welcome back. We're looking at the types of ID that are valid, and that under the CI 72, there are certain kinds of ID. But there's been a lot of furor about NHIS cards in particular. What's the situation there?
Well, I think in the first place, the National Health Insurance Card as a requirement is an oversight. The EC has admitted more or less. Because the health insurance card does not show the nationality of the person. Anybody can get a health insurance card, so long as you are resident in Ghana. Okay. So, for that particular reason, there was no point in adding the national health insurance card.
As acceptable ID?
Yes.
But it's in there?
It's in there. It's an oversight, because initially, birth certificates, bachelor certificates were also part of it, but they were removed when the attention of the EC was drawn to the fact that it can be abused. So, knowing how we operate, I mean, the fears have been confirmed that this process is being abused. Because if you have a situation where a deputy director of operations or whoever sends memo very close to registration period that there's a special dispensation, do health insurance cards for categories of people, or various persons, and then you identify even the regions where more should go. Then you create unnecessary suspicion. As we speak, some electoral officers are complaining that people bring cars which are 3 days old, and they find it uncomfortable to accept it.
National health insurance cards, which are just 3 days old. So virtually you can infer that they've been issued just to get them
for the purpose of getting
to register.
To register. And once that does not show your nationality, it becomes problematic. And why would you also say that in particular regions you should have various districts open, or 13 sectors, whilst in other regions 3? You create that suspicion and impression that you want to skew it towards particular region and strongholds, which should not be the case. So that has created that kind of unnecessary suspicion about the national health insurance card, which in any case does not show your nationality for it to be even part of the requirement. Because the others, they are supposed to show your nationality. Or if you have a voter ID card, the assumption is that you were registered as a Ghanaian, that's why you have
that card.
You have that card.
So going forward, it's most likely that where party agents feel uncomfortable with the NHIS card, they should just challenge.
Yes.
That's it.
They should just challenge, except that we are constrained, because if the Parliament could have amended this, Parliament would have amended it. But the moment you amend it, it becomes null and void. And then it has to start all over again. It has to stay 21 days in Parliament. And we are already on recess.
Yeah.
So that was the dilemma for us. And it cannot be withdrawn because the EC was in a hurry to make sure that this thing passes for them to start the registration exercise.
That's right. Now, there's another thorny question we keep asking about the closing period and the numbers. Because you have calls which say that some people are closing at 5 when the EC is advertising 6 p.m. and there are people in the queue. Yeah. And then you have other areas where as early as 3 p.m. they say they are closed because they've registered 100 people and they are supposed to register 100 a day.
Yes, those are some of the problems, because they will tell you that we were programmed to register only 100 people. By 3 we have 100 people, so the rest of you go home and come the following day. Now some are even complaining that when they tell you to go home and come the following day, they are telling you that your registration would have to take another month. I mean, some weird thing that we are hearing now, that we need to sit down with the EC to find out exactly what is happening. But if you don't make it uniform, these are the kind of problems that you have, because you're saying that you programmed it 100 a day. By midday, the person has the 100, or the registration officer has registered 100 persons. He said, I'm done for the day. Meanwhile, somebody knows that by 2, 3, if he goes to the center,
he should be able to register, because it's up to 6 p.m.
Yes. So, and then other places too, it gets to 6 p.m., he said it's 6. So all those in the queue go home. And tomorrow, what happens? Are you coming to join a new queue, or there's a separate queue for you? And how are you going to even identify that? I mean, you came, you returned away. It's not like elections, which is 1 day, and before 6, if you are in a queue, you should be allowed to vote. So that if voting will end at 9 p.m., so be it, because you were in a queue before 6. But this one, if it gets to 6 and they are supposed to close, they are not saying that you were in before 6, so they will continue to 9. By 6, they will tell the rest to leave. And what happens? The following day,
you have to come and rejoin the queue at the back. At the back. And if you get frustrated, you don't register.
You join the queue as when you come. Yes. So if you come early and you are first, so be it. If you don't come early and there's a queue, you come and join.
So on the second day, if it's 6 and you are not registered,
sometimes you stay there the whole day.
And you don't get registered.
So people get frustrated and say, what's this business? Even though it's so important to have a voter ID card, is it deliberate that I'm being frustrated? Or, I mean, is it what I need to do for a whole week? I come the whole day, I don't get registered, I have to come out the following day, I go through the same process. It can be very frustrating. And probably these are the things that we should be able to talk about and bring ideas so that people don't just give up and say that to hell with your registration.
That's right.
And it will not be good for us.
Okay. What about the party agents? Yeah. We've also had reports about party agents needing to clock in when they arrive. It's being done in some places and not being done in other places. And then the daily printout. There are 2 problems there. Yes. In some places, they are being denied the printout. In other places, you get the printout and you find that there is a mistake on it. What happens to the mistakes for that day and the
Well,
following day?
this is lack of information and education. By the regulations, the parties are allowed to have their agents. Okay. So we, the parties, at least almost everywhere you go, it's MPP and DC.
Yes.
The rest, they've left it to us to do it for them, more or less. A few scattered places, you hear CPP, but I haven't even come across other parties. Even those who claim they are CPP, they are not as well organized as the MPP and NDC. The regulations allow you to bring your agents. The agents have been trained and told that get to the place before the beginning of the process. Because it's the machine that they're going to use. Those operators will have to clock in. One has the equipment, one has the key, one has the code which will allow him to enter for the whole process to start. Okay. You should be there at the beginning. 2, for purposes of oversight and ensuring that the right thing is done, we even instructed them that get to know how many persons have been registered for that day. You understand? So you as agent, you're supposed to be there. Some places, they understand themselves. You find a situation where a voter or a person goes to register, he's given a card, he goes to another table for the agent to record.
Oh,
I've seen
voluntarily.
Voluntarily. Yeah. For the agent to record, and then when you go, you inspect the book that has been provided to the agent. He's filled everything. Now this day, these are the persons who came to register. These are the particulars. So at the end of the day, when the printout comes out, he's able to say that, no, I have 92 names here. Your printout is saying 72. Where are the 20? Okay. And it's happened in various places. Some very few names. I went to a place, they had to use ink to insert the few names which were missing.
On the printout.
I saw it myself.
So where would those names be in the machine?
In the machine.
Where would
and they tell you that, oh, if they give a certain command, the other names will come. Another place, as I said, 35 names missing. And those names, you will not say that they belong to a particular party.
No.
Their names.
No, at this stage, one can't say anybody belongs to any particular party.
Yes. So 35 names, you raise the objection, you protest, you show evidence. The following day, they are able to bring the 35 names. So it means that if the agents had not complained, how assured are we that those 35 names would have been added? And we need education and information on these things so that people don't panic and say that, hey, some names are being kept away. Why do you think it's our stronghold? So instead of 100, we've brought only 80. These issues came up during the pilot process. And they should have been addressed. And we should have been informed and well educated so that we also send it out to our party people, agents, and the whole public that this is what is going on. If you don't do that, then you create so much suspicion and the people start complaining, and then they say, is there connivance, unnecessary panic, which...
Dare we even think that? Yes. That there could be connivance? No. Dare we think it at all?
It's possible because the recruitment process, some can infiltrate. Yeah. I mean, from all parties, I'm not blaming any particular party. Yeah. So if the person you are recruiting, you've not screened the person well, or deliberately you allow the person to come in. And mind you, even under the regulations, the EC was supposed to provide a list of all persons they had recruited.
So we are suffering from the rush.
Yes, all persons they had recruited 14 days before the exercise, so that you could raise objection. Okay. If you identify YB to be an EC officer, you say that I know YB very well. This is his background. He's very active, and we know that he will not be fair when he sits there.
That's right.
Then you raise the objection, but we did not even have that opportunity. We complained that where is the list for us to even raise objection if we identify a party person.
That's right.
But that could not go on. So there could be infiltrators. And then if they decide not to do the right thing, for any reason, somebody may be very, very astute and savvy when it comes to computer. And if he wants to play with it, and then
he can play games.
Yes.
Or so somebody can decide that I'm not going to enter the code properly, and you fiddle with the machine.
All those problems. So some may be deliberate, which we hope that it will be as minimal as possible. And then the rest is the efficiency of the staff. I mean, somebody goes there, you see that the person really is not computer literate, because it's A way, B way, A way, B way. You understand? Whereas you expect that you do it so smart that you move to another table.
Yes.
But if you're going to spend all the time trying to even
looking for keys.
yeah, that's terrible. And it's happening in some places.
Yes. So overall, it looks as if the EC really needs to speed things up in terms of training of personnel, even whilst they are on the job, because not everybody seems proficient enough. If you have a situation where a machine that is supposed to be faulty simply kickstarts because somebody else comes and touches the right buttons, then we really have
Sometimes
problems.
they tell them to even shut the whole machine off, remove the battery and put it back, it will work. Which is some of these instructions, they didn't even get them because the training period was quite
Too short. I hope the challenges can be overcome. The way forward.
Well, we have to get back to the drawing board. The way forward is, one, knowing what the whole exercise is about and what it entails, being vigilant, and then agreeing to play by the rules. That is it. Yeah, because if the regulation says that you should challenge...
is already on line from Damango. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
This is Kadri Abdurrahman calling from Damango, Northern Region.
Yes, sir.
About this registration, the NDC people, because they know they have lost focus, they have lost track. They are trying to intimidate Ghanaians, and Ghanaians are not aware. They are sending 6 agents to each police station. If MPP, if we are also sending 6 agents, there is going to be chaos in each police station in Ghana. So we are telling them that the Electoral Commission should come out and warn them, because what they are after, they are doing that. What they need and they are doing that. We also need it, and what they have and they are doing that. We are all having 2 seconds.
Okay.
Nobody is having 4 or 5. So we are ready to face them bumper to bumper. After all die, we die. We are telling them that they are ruling government. So they should maintain peace. If they fail to maintain peace, what they want, we are ready to face them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abdul Rahman. Just be calm. This is the registration. We are not quite there yet, but it really starts from the registration. The election has kick-started. Hello?
Hello, Anna, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
I'm Bacham Yakum, line.
Aha. Koso.
I'm with the Maximum. Them say, one more money is in Casamaya, sentimental, Paya, I'm for some machines in Diano. I'm home at Tipa, because machines we are cleaning in our pet. The ending one was a month and will be the air Juma. No sentimental, what now already spending good news in a pair, or some machine I say. No, we don't really pass bottom to me, the machine to Yajuma. But the bit where Jamaica Council and then this is what was with the motor. And then the police station were air course. That is it. One more year, Jamaica, so we did had a yet. Who can come with Yenna, you was sentiment, Yenna, Yenna, home. Yesterday, the Sapasa, the Beba, the Bacassi, and I say, how would they have 24? But never about the training, the Yabato. They still use me a biomum for 40 security agents in the Nation. I'm moving money to form upon idea. This is 1.4 the kind of Chrome. As they say, a campaign, and no Chrome red. It's up who are the people in the car of Chrome. And I'm saying people from one way. The Emperor special groups look at cars, nation for 19 more. Police stations, the Emperor 19 years and year could be. Young Jimmy, you know, most but go up the cocoa in the car. One night, the motor car of Fanuye. Yes, you have a map for the upon here. I'm not in the power, or more to young Bacassi, yes, I'm home. So one should be being able to inform young can watch one. And the very somebody was on yesterday, but then never about and she have pennies. If she has been used to me paying for, or more money now, and go fast among Magana, but that's one hour.
And that's a power. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
This is Foster me.
Yes, sir.
I'm a Casafra and Timampon.
Foster Koso.
You. But you made a means a mail, you pen and person beside Honorable Obiamwa. Did you can the person who says, you see, I know a lot of students are on campus. And the information we are gathering indicates that there will not be transfer of votes on December 7th. I don't know how true it is. If it really is, then what is the fate of the students on campus now, taking into cognizance the fact of the matter that they are not from where the schools are located. So is it that they will have to travel to their hometown when we don't even know the itinerary of the registration back at home? And if it happens that they have to register on campus on December 7th, where there is not going to be transfer or boost, does it mean that the person will have to also travel back from the hometown to the registration point?
Yeah.
That is my first question. And then the second one is, assuming you were voting in Mampong in the previous election, can you now register at, let's say, Kumasi, when you want to change probably your constituency or your polling station?
Yeah.
Those are my two issues.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll try and answer the transfers issues. Very, very touchy. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I Caucus.
Very well.
I live around La Paz, Adekan La Paz. Just on this, the Standard Chartered Bank Road going towards Nyamiche.
Okay.
And there's a polling station over there. What we have observed is that since yesterday, there was total blackout.
Blackout?
Yes. No light. Since yesterday evening up to now.
Okay.
So in the course of the day, there was a problem with the battery to be charged. In view of that, I have a generator. So I suggested that if there's no light in there since yesterday, then let me bring my. They said no, they are going to provide their own generator. And could you believe that from 10 o'clock up to 5 o'clock, they couldn't bring that so-called generator. Whereas I have a generator. I have 2 generators, and I was willing to provide it that can even serve the whole area. And secondly, there's another police station called CPC. CPC, just at Fadama, Nyamichiasi Junction. This morning, there is one NDC van, a pickup, which was plying the whole area. That's where I think he was assigned to ply the area. I don't know the rationale behind it, because we have been made to understand that on the day of registration, there shouldn't be this paraphernalia, nobody should identify himself. But I see no reason why a whole NDC pickup at terminals for 2012, we came and stood right in front of the church where the registration was going on. So I'm entreating my party leaders to take recognition of this particular problem. I live just about 30 meters away from that so-called police station.
Okay.
I caught it. So please.
Thank you very much.
We are here to contribute.
Thank you very much, Ike. We'll follow it up. But, Honorable, can we address the question of transfers? Yes. Of course, we now know that there will be no proxy voting.
That's what the EC is saying. And for transfers to, the EC is saying that it will be problematic. Because even if you look at the manual situation, typical example, Central Region, Cape Coast, they could not even do the transfers when we're doing the manual system.
That's right.
Now they are saying that biometrically you have to transfer your everything, including your biodata, your fingerprints, everything. And as at now, they think that it will be problematic. But we want certain kind of assurance that can it be done, because obviously you will have to transfer votes. As we speak, the students are about to come home, but the final year students are staying on campus. When they finish their exams, they leave and they never come there. So if they register,
it means they will have to travel back to vote.
Yes.
When they have no business there.
Yes, assuming you are at the Briggles, and then final year student, the registration has opened, your polling station is captured, so you have to register within this period. They stay on campus, even if it's extended, they will still register once they are there. Now they leave after exams, and December 7th, they will not be on campus. So they either have to travel to come and vote where they registered, or request for transfer, or forget.
That is
and
a very
it's across
serious
the country.
Yes.
So across the country, if you take my constituency, there are about 6 secondary schools senior high in my constituency. And that is really problematic. So if by this mechanism we cannot transfer, then we have a problem.
The EC has to address that problem specifically.
Specifically. How do you address it? If we are isolated ones, fine. But a whole mass situation.
If you look at an enrollment level, even at tertiary level of over 80,000.
Yes. All these persons, if they cannot transfer their votes, it means they have to find a way of coming to vote on election day. For instance,
or traveling home now to go and register. That means breaking the academic calendar.
You're traveling home, that is if your police station.
If you know your movement plan.
If you know your movement plan. And they are doing exams. How do they leave the exams?
Full movement plan. That is uncertain.
It's a serious matter. And I mean, we will have to find a way of addressing it. If you are lucky, let's say you register at Ebri and you stay at Adenta,
then you're okay.
Or in Sawam or in Kropon, then you can take the trouble that on election day I will travel to come in. But if you stay at Boga and you have to attend school at Ebri or Kumasi or Sekendi, and I mean, this has become a problem which is not their doing.
No.
You understand? And the EC would have to address that. And then, of course, the other issues, 6 agents per polling station. It's not allowed.
It should be 2.
It should be 2. Even EC has said that 1, but there should be a backup. But if you're going to bring 6 because you have funding, or you think that that is where you keep vigilance, this is a wrong thing. Then everybody will apply to have 6 there, because when you apply for accreditation, the EC is supposed to give you maximum 2.
1 and 1 backup.
Yes. Yes, for emergency purposes, etc. But if you, how did they get 6 accreditation cards? Or they are there, they don't have accreditation, but they claim they are agents.
They probably are not accredited.
Yes, that is wrong.
Very well. That is all time will let us share tonight. But clearly, the registration is still a work in progress, both on the technical side and on the human side.
It is only day 3.
And this is day 3. So it means the first cluster of 10 days, 10 days within the polling stations, the polling stations who are within the 10-day first lot are guinea pigging for the rest of us. And we hope the EC will get it right before the end of the first 10 days, and then not punish them. Maybe give them the benefit of the doubt and make sure that they are well catered for.